Welcome once again to our few minutes together on the Parsha, which this week, obviously, being Shabbos HaGadol, has to have some connection with the upcoming Yom Tov of Pesach. And I'd like to propose the following. If you'll take a look at the Sedra, you'll notice that the Yom Tov of Yom Kippur is spoken about in the first half, practically speaking, the first half of the Sedra. 34 of the 80 psukim in this week's Sedra deal with the service of Yom Kippur. The rest of the psukim deal with a few sundry subjects having to do with slaughtering animals and bringing it to the Mishkan and the laws of eating dam. And then the great majority of the end of the Sedra, which interestingly enough is also read on Yom Kippur, but it's read in the afternoon, deal with the moral laws of the Jewish people. And you can wonder to yourself and say, what is it about the juxtaposition of the entire discussion of the service of Yom Kippur, which is such a holy day, and the mundane moral laws between men and women and between all the desires of humans? What does that have to do with the holiness of Yom Kippur? If you take a look at the Haggadah, when it talks about the four sons, there's a very interesting discussion about the Rasha. Everyone is aware of what the Rasha says, and of course, you can easily, based on what the Rasha says, understand what the tzaddik would do. The Rasha says, "Mo ha'avoda hazos lachem." What is this service to God for you? Because it's clear that the Rasha doesn't have a connection with the service of God. That's not our discussion tonight. The interesting thing is the answer. If you'll take a look at the answer, the Haggadah says, "Va'af hato hakei es shinav," and you are to hakei his teeth. Now the question, of course, is, what does hakei es shinav mean? Some people say it means that you knock out his teeth. When the truth of the matter is, the word hakei does not literally mean knock out his teeth, although the Vilna Gaon, in his own inimitable fashion, has one of the most interesting explanations about it, because he says if the word hakei really does mean to knock out, if you'll take a look at we'll play a little gematria here, you want to take the Rasha and turn him into a tzaddik. Tzaddik in gematria is 204. Rasha in gematria is 570. You want to take a 570, that's a Rasha, and turn him into a tzaddik, which is a 204. If you'll take the word shinav, which is 366, and you'll subtract it from the 570, you'll end up with the 204. So if you'll take out shinav, if you'll take out his teeth from the Rasha, you'll end up with a tzaddik 204. It's a cute little explanation, but that's not the real interpretation of the word shinav, hakei shinav. The word hakei shinav means to blunt, to make not so sharp his teeth. Isn't it interesting to note that the first Aveira ever done by man was an Aveira that was done with the teeth, and the teeth were the instrument of the desire, as the pasuk says, "Vatera ha'isha ki tov ha'etz lemachol v'chi sa'ava hu lo'enayim v'nechmad ha'etz lahaskil," that it was desirous and it was sumptuous for the heart to participate in, and so they ate of it with their teeth. So the teeth were the first sin. So the Torah is telling us, you want to help the Rasha? Blunt his teeth. Now it's interesting, it doesn't say get rid of his teeth. You're not supposed to knock out the Yetzer Hara completely. What you're supposed to do is utilize it properly. What you're supposed to do is take the God-given desire that we have, which is a gift to us, to help us enjoy life, so that we enjoy our food, so that we enjoy our lives. In order to become closer to God, we have to eat, and we have to participate in the joy of life. And without the desire, one could not enjoy life. And so Hashem says to the Rasha, don't think you have to give up on all your pleasures in life. It's not so. You just have to blunt them a little bit in order to utilize them in the proper fashion. And so our Sedra is the same. Yom Kippur is talking about the holiness of life. And when it talks about the moral system, it's telling you, we're not telling you to be celibate. We're not telling you to be a malach. Oh no, a malach is not a holy Jew. A holy Jew is someone who takes the physical possessions that we have and utilizes them to raise up his spirituality. We drink the 4 cups of wine, but we're not slaves to them. We are free people. We eat in the middle of the Seder, in the middle of the Hallel, because the eating is a part of the Hallel, and it raises us up and brings us closer to Hashem. And so the Rasha just has to take a little bit off the edge and utilize all the gifts that God gave us in order to become a tzaddik. And that's the beginning of Acharei Mos, dealing with Yom Kippur and the moral laws which teach us how holy we can become by utilizing the food, the pleasures that Hashem gives us. Have a Chag Kosher v'Sameach, a wonderful Yom Tov, and a good Shabbos.